Hello and welcome to a short video review of the Sony UBP-X700. You can read the full in-depth review via the link in the description or by clicking the card at the top right of the video. The UBP-X700 is Sony's latest 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray player, and it joins the X800 in their lineup and is slightly cheaper than the X800, but does add a completely new feature. This is their first player to support Dolby Vision, and this is going to be really the big selling point of this player, I think. Up until now, their players haven't supported Dolby Vision. The X800 doesn't, none does the X1000, and they never will. They don't have the right chipset. But this player does, and it's just been added actually via a firmware update. Unfortunately, when I had the player in for review, the firmware update hadn't been done yet, so I couldn't actually test the Dolby Vision performance. But certainly I think from the point of view of anyone looking to buy this player, that's going to be one of the big selling points. But what do I think of the player overall? Well, first of all, in terms of its design, pretty basic. It hasn't got the build quality of the X800, which was a gorgeous looking player and was built like a tank with a solid metal construction. This one is very plasticky and has kind of an angled chassis, and it's much smaller. It's not a full width piece of equipment. It's a bit narrower and smaller and lighter and more plastic in terms of its construction. It is finished in black, but I've got to say, in terms of build quality, it is a little bit disappointing, particularly compared to the X800, which, as I say, was built like the proverbial tank. What this basically means is that not only is it a bit light and a bit flimsy in terms of feel, but also it's a little bit noisy. The front drops down when the disc tray comes out, and that can be quite noisy. But in terms of actual playback, again, when the disc is spinning, it's a little bit noisy. It's also quite noisy too when you're navigating the disc. So compared to the X800, it definitely is an inferior product in terms of both build quality and in terms of the sort of actual performance in terms of playing discs. It's a lot noisier, which I guess comes with the territory. This player is only £198, whereas the X800 was a lot more expensive, that particularly when it was launched, although it has fallen in price since then. But however, if you go to the back of it, basically exactly the same as the X800. The X700 has two HDMI outputs, one for video and audio, one for audio only. So basically one's HDMI 2.0 and one's HDMI 1.4 in case your receiver or soundbar doesn't support HDMI 2.0. And also it has a coaxial digital output and a LAN port, and is built-in Wi-Fi as well. So not much on the back in terms of connections. Basically it's a digital transport. There's no analog output or connections whatsoever. But I think for most people that is more than that's basically what you want. You don't need loads of other stuff. You don't need analog outputs. You just want to use HDMI. So in that sense, I think it's fine. In terms of its actual performance, well, it was a fantastic player. In terms of performance, it's basically the same as the X800, but with the addition of Dolby Vision, there was no real difference in terms of performance at all. It aced all of the tests. The picture quality was fantastic. It's got lots of great features in there. It's relatively easy to set up. And playback was great. As I say, my only complaint really was that the playback was a bit noisy, but in terms of its actual performance with picture quality and the sound quality over HDMI, both were flawless, and I can't complain about that. The remote control that it comes with is smaller than the remote control that came with the X800. It's a bit more fiddly, but basically all the buttons are there. You know, it fits in your hand reasonably comfortably, and everything you need is there and easy, sensorily laid out, so you can control the player. So overall, what do I think of this player? Well, I mean, it's not the prettiest player I've ever seen. It's certainly not the best made player I've ever seen. It is a little bit flimsy, a little bit plastic, a little bit noisy in terms of its operation, but in terms of its performance, absolutely stellar. Perfect performance for playback of audio and for video, and in that sense, I think it puts it in the same ballpark as the X800. It also includes SA/CD playback, although it does not include DVD audio playback, which is a feature of the X800. In terms of its appeal, I guess, if you're a Sony fan, then certainly you'll be looking at this player. It's the one you've been waiting for, the first Sony player to support Dolby Vision. In terms of its price, £198 makes it the second cheapest way of getting Dolby Vision. The LG UBP-X700 is a little bit cheaper, but probably the Sony has more features than the LG, although I prefer the look of the LG. You know, it's a full-size piece of kit and not quite as plasticky looking as the Sony. But can't fault the price, can't fault the features, and SA/CD playback is also included, and the performance is fantastic, both with audio and video. I should also point out that since this is a Sony player and it supports Dolby Vision, it will also support the Dolby Vision profiles that are being used by their TVs, making this the ideal choice if you're a Sony TV owner already. And certainly at the price of £198, it's great value, and for that reason I am more than happy to award the Sony UBP-X700 a Best Buy badge. If you've enjoyed this video, then please like and subscribe. And don't forget, you can find more news, reviews, articles and videos like this at avforums.com, Europe's largest home entertainment community. Thanks for watching.